Hello, in this tutorial I'm going to walk you through the steps that will help you create a brand new cover using elements from any of the covers in the template pack. So I'm going to create this gambling themed cover. You can see it's got the green and red colours associated with gambling. And I'm going to use elements from this cover. I'm going to use the title text here and some of this subtext. I'm going to use the background. From this cover I'm going to use the speech bubble. And from this cover I'm going to use the computer and the male character here. So the first thing that I'll need to do is hide the layers that I don't need to use on this cover, and you can see they're grouped here neatly, so you can just hide them by clicking on the small icon here to the left. And let's go and add in some of the elements from the other templates. So I want to add in this cheering man and this MacBook. So let's right click, duplicate group, and I want to send this man to characters5.psd. That's the file I'm working with. So let me do that. You can see now that he's been placed here. I want to make him bigger, so I'll hit Ctrl T and I'll just drag on the corner while holding Shift, Command T if you're on a Mac, and position him down here a little bit. I want to see his cheering glove because he's obviously won, so let's Ctrl T again or Command T and flip horizontal. Let's move him over here a little bit and actually make him a little bit bigger. Okay, so that's the guy. So let's go back and get the MacBook. Click on the group, right click, duplicate group, and send again to characters 5. And now we have the MacBook. Let's drag that below the cheering man by pulling the group below. And let's hit Command or Ctrl T and make that a lot smaller. Okay, so we're beginning to get the basics of the cover. The final thing I want to get is the speech bubble. So let's once again right click, duplicate group, send to characters 5, click OK, and there we have the speech bubble. So I'm going to drag that above the cheering man. Okay, so we've got all our elements in place. What we need to do now is rearrange things a little bit so that everything is positioned as we want it to be. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the text here. I'm going to drag the handle on the text box here to make it narrow, and I'm going to hit left align. So let me select this text and hit left align. So we have some text that's become narrow now. Let's move the author name to align with that a little bit. And let's work on this title text here. So you can see we have it in a group here called title. So I'm going to open that group. I'm going to remove this rectangle here, and let's call it How to Play and Win. So I'm literally just selecting text here and replacing it with the words that I want to use. Hit Ctrl T and make this win extra big, and I want to make this win a red colour. So let me pick a bright kind of red here, maybe a little bit deeper. Okay, so let's hide some of the text that we don't want to use the quick and easy way, and let's move the small subtext here above. Now it's beginning to take shape, so let's work on changing the colours and the style of this guy because he's a little bit geeky at the moment, but let's change him a little bit. So I'm going to open the group that contains all the elements for this character. You can see there's a moustache and glasses. I'm going to hide the moustache. I'm going to hide the glasses. He's not so geeky now. And I'm going to change the colour of his hair. So to do that I just double click and I can darken up things here. And he's got sort of darker hair now. And let's just do the side part as well. Okay, so let's also change the colour of his sweater. So I'll open up the sweater group, double click on the shape for his sweater and pick a similar red. And we need to change the colour of the arms too. So I'm just using the colour selector to match the colour from the red part of the sweater. And finally let's change the colour of his trousers or his pants. So right click and let's make those a dark grey. And finally his collar, which is up here. Let's make that grey as well. And just this little part of his shirt here, which is here. Okay, so you can see he's looking quite different now. The next thing that I want to do is change the background of the actual cover here. So let's click on the background image here and let's click on color overlay and let's choose a sort of a gambling green color. You might have to play around a little bit until you get a color that works. So we'll leave it at that for now. I'm just going to add a little bit of contrast by adding a shape to the background here. So above the background layer, I'm just going to click a new layer. I'm going to click the ellipse tool in the shapes and just drag like this. And you can see it's put in a different kind of green there, but I want to make that slightly darker. And I'm going to copy the style, copy layer style from the background there so we get the same pattern, and paste layer style. And I think I might darken this up a little bit more. And lower the opacity a little bit on this one. And I'll just position it down a little bit so it's underneath the letters. And okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is shrink the speech bubble a little bit because it's a little bit too big. Of course you can type anything you want in there, anything at all. And the final thing that we need to do is we need to change the background on this computer image here. And to do that, you click on MacBook, put your image here, you double click on this, and when that opens, it opens in a new file, and we can add any kind of image we want in here. So I have an image here that I grabbed from Google. I'm going to right click this image, duplicate layer, and send it to the screen image for the computer. It's too big, so let me just zoom out a little bit, Command or Control T, and scale it down to size. I'm going to hide this text here because it's not relevant, and I'm going to make this text white. And the text below green. And let's just change the text here to win at roulette. And Control T to shrink that down a little bit. And I'm just going to add a simple stroke. A green stroke again, sampling from the image. And let's make that a little bit bigger. Okay, so let's save that image by closing it, choosing save. And let's go back to our character. And you can see now that the image has been updated. So the book cover is almost created. We just need to rearrange things a little bit. If you can see in this image, the computer is smaller, there's text up here, the man is a little bit bigger. So let me move the text a little bit. Let's shrink it down a little bit. And let's also shrink down the computer a little bit. And the final thing I want to do is I want to move this text from this area here, Control X, and let's paste it up here. It's a little bit too small, so I can hit Control T or Command T and stretch that up a little bit. Okay, that's how to create a brand new cover using elements from the covers that are included in the template pack. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching.